All righty, we are live. There we go. I was waiting for that to come up. All right. Hello, 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 everyone. Incredible greetings. All right. As you guys can see from the title, depending on when, whoa, whoa, whoa. If you're watching the playback of this, or even if you're watching it live, a lot of times you guys watch it live, you don't really see the title. But if you are watching the playback of this, as you can see, we're going to discuss printers. I've done a couple different discussions on this, but we have someone over on TikTok who posed the question of what is the best printer. Actually, I probably should have asked the question, were you talking about sublimation? Because that would be a good, because just there are people who watch me who do like stickers and party favors and stuff like that. So they're looking for a regular printer. I forgot to ask that question. Was that question on what's the best printer for sublimation? Completely forgot to ask that one. So we are going to possibly talk about sublimation, but I can also kind of, it goes hand in hand. So she says yes. All right, cool beans. So let's edit post. No, I guess edit post, edit the audience, and done, and save. Alrighty. So hello, hello, hello. I sent you a message. I need help with my 15. Well, ask your question here. Maybe I can answer it here. Because unless it was something with our ink and paper or through the website, if it's in the group, it's a little bit different. Messages, I don't sometimes like. I'll try and get you to post it in the group, but you're more than welcome to post it here. And I might be, and it might come up in when I'm talking about printers. Okay. So incredible afternoon. Hello, hello, hello. All right. So incredible greetings. So like I said, someone asked a question about printers. We've had this discussion before, but I said, you know what? Let's go live over on Facebook and YouTube because it might be somebody who did not hear that discussion before, and you might be in the market for a new printer. So let's discuss, shall we? I am Shakia, the professor of HS Ink 365. We are the home of the Honestly Speaking brand of products. We carry the absolute best game-changing sublimation paper that allows you to sublimate as low as 365 degrees, as fast as 30 seconds. There's absolutely no blowout through the back. So our paper does not bleed through the back. So there's no need for butcher paper on top for most applications, as long as, you know, it's not an application where the actual ink will be exposed to your platen. You won't need to use butcher paper like on top of butcher paper, parchment paper, any type of covering on top of it, because it will not blow out the back. So all the gases stay inside and they stay going in one direction. They don't kind of come out the back, which is also why, I am able to do my sublimation tumblers. When I wrap it like this, I just throw it in a regular oven because it's not going to gas out the back. So there's nothing coming back out of it. You can check out all of our products on our website, HSINK, so HSINK365.com. We are also the home of Silaholics Anonymous, where I've been teaching you guys to master using Silhouette Studio for the past 9 years. And also 365 Creative Academy, which is our online academy for now, where we help you with a wide variety of trainings to unlock your creativity. And I had that before AI. If anybody use anything with AI and you're talking about like creativity, it's like everything is like unleash your creativity and all this other stuff. We've had unlock your creativity for years now. So that is not AI generated. Someone said that and it was like, oh, that just screams AI. Well, I guess I'm gonna pop my collar like I'm like one of the AI folks because I came up with that one a long time ago. So, anywho, when I started talking about printers, it's kind of where a lot of you guys found me from, because I was doing a lot of talk about the old workforce printers when it came to pigment ink, because I was doing things like print and cuts with my cameos for like really large cutouts and fans and centerpieces and standees and stuff like that. And those printers were also used for sublimation. And now people are converting these printers for eco-solvent as well. So it has like multifaceted when it comes to these print with Epson printers and the types of ink that you can put in it. You also have some versions of these printers that people are using for DTF. I do not get into that. I do not discuss converting printers for DTF, because that's really a conversion. All the other ones, all you're simply doing is not using the ink that comes in the box, and you're using a different type of ink. So that's what we're going to discuss. Like I said, I've had several discussions about this. But the current question is, what is the best printer for sublimation? There are a lot of options. When it comes to Epson printers, any Epson printer can be used for sublimation. Like literally any printer can be used for sublimation because the Epson printers are heat free. So it's not using a thermal print head that's going to heat up the ink before it expels it out. It uses a crystal. So there's no heat involved, because we know when it comes to sublimation, you use heat to actually start the sublimation process. So we don't want to start that inside of our print heads. We want a heat free. So all Epson printers technically can be used, but there's different qualities of printers. Epson has a wide variety of printers, different models, everything from ET, which is Eco Tank printers, Super Tank printers. You have workforce printers, you have expression printers, and I'm missing one. You had artisan printers, and I know I'm missing one. I know I am. Of sure color, but on the desktop side, I feel like I'm missing one, and I can't think of it right now. But all of these technically can be used. Anything that is a tank-based printer, in theory, all you have to do is not use the ink that came in the box. You don't have to open them. So many companies now, they sell the bottles with it's a universal key. Okay, it's a universal key. Epson's own looks somewhat like this, but they have like little notches on it so that you won't be able to like mix up the inks and you know exactly which one. Because some people have done that, right? They're like, oh no, I made a mistake and put my black in my cyan. The difference with the Epson one and why some people prefer to pour the other ink out and put their ink in the Epson bottles is because there is no chance of you messing up or mixing up which ink goes with which, because they're keyed for it. These are universal. It's just flat. So you can easily put the wrong ink in the wrong slot. On every other, and I think why it happens for a lot of people is because on a cartridge-based printer, it goes black, cyan, magenta, yellow. On Eco Tank printers, it goes black, yellow, magenta, cyan. So some people end up mixing that up. But if you use the Epson tip, you can't, it can only go in that one slot. But if you use these, ours are keyed for it. Most people, most of the companies, end up having one that's keyed. Some companies have two different ones. It's kind of pointless. It's the same exact ink inside every bottle. Don't believe the hype. No one has a specific Eco Tank ink and one for cartridge. It's the same dang on ink, just has a different top. That's it. And some companies charge you differently because they may have a 100 versus a 70 or a 127. All of our bottles are 140. Every last one of them, you get 140. So if you have a smaller format Eco Tank, you're going to get 2 full refills with this, which is why we know for our inks, we don't, unless you're doing a lot of printing, this ink will definitely last you a really, really, really long time because you get 2 full refills with our ink because it is 140 milliliters on the colors. Now the black one, I think it comes as 127. Ours is 140, so it's 1.5 refills when it comes to our ink. So all of the Eco Tank printers can be used. The difference is the quality. If you take the time to go through the specs and you're looking at resolution, you're looking at print speed, if those are things that are important to you, that's how you'll determine what's going to be the best printer option for you, is things like the resolution and the print speed. Any printer that starts with ET2 or 4, them things don't print fast at all. They are slow as molasses. Very, 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 very slow in how they print. Okay. The resolution is a little bit different from once you get up to like the ones that cost way too much money and it really ain't really worth it, it's a little bit different, right? So the resolution is like how that ink is going to be put down, like the amount of ink, the spacing on it, how clear something is going to look. When you get up to like going from anything that has a 2, like the 28 2 in front of it, 27 series, 28 series, they come out with the 29 series. If it has a 30 series, if it's 40 something, 47, 48, whatever those, like any numbers in that, I don't care if that, because there's one of them that's like $700-800 and it's still only an 8.5-inch wide printer. It is, like I said, I hate Eco Tanks. I think they're the biggest scam ever, but I'm going to still break it down for you. So any of those, the resolution is not going to be high. If you are doing like regular prints, like what's those things called? Party favors and stuff like that. It's like, it's okay, but it's not like super, super great. The joy of sublimation, though, is you don't really have to have great resolution because it is heat activated. So even when it doesn't, like, it's not up there, like, because it's just going to transfer, the colors brighten up. Now, what does become different, if you ever had a smaller format printer and then the large format that has a higher resolution, your colors change, because now for that higher resolution, it's just putting down, it's concentrating the amount of ink that it puts down. So even with something like red, from the smaller format, cheap printers, that red is not going to be super saturated because the resolution on that one is low. Then you get to the 15,000s and the 8550 where the resolution is like really, really up there. That red is going to pop more. So that's when people say, oh, like when I upgraded, like going to a 15,000, 8550, it was so much better because the colors look so much better. Yeah, because it has a higher resolution, but that comes at a higher price point, $700, $800, $900, compared to getting one that is just $200. So the resolution on it does make a difference as far as color saturation. But I normally have my inks here for demonstration purposes, but I don't have them. Dang it. Okay, I have my yellow one. I'll use yellow. This is the ink that comes in the bottle, in the boxes, for every Epson printer that is an EcoTank printer, except the exception to this rule. You want to write it down. The exception to this rule is the ET 16600, 16650. That is the exception to the rule. 16600, 16650. Exception to the rules. So everything that I'm going to talk about does not apply to those two EcoTank printers. They are the exceptions. I'm going to say it one more time. 16600, 16650 are the exceptions to the rule. Okay? Every other one, even that's 8550, the ink will look like this. This is dye-based ink. This is dye-based ink. It is a different consistency than what sublimation ink is. Sublimation ink is like this. This is the pigment ink one. Where is my sublimation one? This one is sublimation. This is pigment. This is sublimation. It's the same type of consistency, right? So when you're putting this in a printer that is made for this, you are more likely to get clogs because it's slightly thicker than this. So it can cause some clogs. Even though it's still a liquid, the density is different than this. Okay? As you can see, this is a really dark color. This is supposed to be yellow. It's like food coloring. It looks orange. This is sublimation. This is pigment. This is why you end up getting reds that look orange, purples that look blue, blues that look purple. You can never get a lime green or like a neon green because it uses dye-based inks. The way that the printers mix this type of ink to get yellow. So if you look at the top, that's orange, right? Can we agree that this ink comes out orange? It looks orange. Does that look orange to you? That looks orange. Right or wrong? Who's all in agreement with me that this looks orange in the bottle? Okay. So if you were to do a nozzle check with this, though, it comes out yellow. Once it processes through the printer, this on a piece of paper, if you do a nozzle check, which is the straight ink from that nozzle, from that print head, it's going to look yellow. It's not going to come out looking orange, which means the printer processes this ink a totally different way than the printer that processes this ink, where it is actually yellow. So when you put sublimation ink, which is like this ink, in a printer that uses this ink, your color, this is why your colors for certain things are way, way off. There's no way to correct it. Some people will say things like, go to the colors and adjust it. But when you have a mixture of colors, if you're trying to adjust it for reds, then you're going to end up messing up your blues, because then, or you're going to mess up like your purples and things like that, because you're messing around with the colors. Messing around with one setting can throw another one off because there's so many different colors in this print, right? So it's really not to say you're going to get a great result. It will still sublimate the same way. It will look beautiful. It's going to look crisp. It's going to look bright. It's going to look vibrant, but it's not going to be accurate colors, like nowhere near being accurate for certain colors, and depending on how the file was set up. If you're designing it yourself, you can get close to the color that you desire by going over to our website and getting a color chart. You want to print that color chart out, sublimate it, and then you want to use those color codes when you are dialing in your colors. And that way it won't be like, surprise, I'm the wrong color. You are going to choose that color. All right. So this is one of the things, like this is the biggest con of, like, say pros and cons. The biggest disadvantage of using an EcoTank printer, except the exceptions, is going to be the color. So if color is a factor for you, if you are doing something like these, right? Color, your customers aren't going to really care about the color. They don't know what color it was supposed to be, because you're just, and that's the thing. Like some people are like, oh, this works for me, my colors are great. Because no one knows, no one really cares. Like, even though like on your screen, it's gonna look different. I have done the videos talking about your screen. Everyone's screen is different. The quality of your screen. If you look at the same image on your computer screen compared to your phone, it's gonna look different. So there's really no way, unless you're going to calibrate your monitor to your printer output, there's no way of knowing like to match the colors. I don't care what ink you're using, even if you're using genuine Epson ink, unless you're going to calibrate it, there's no way for you to ensure that what you see on your screen is what's going to print out, which is why color charts are amazing. But no one cares. Like when it's like this, I could sell this and I can sell this one. The colors look different on here. They look different. But I can easily sell this one as fast as I can sell this one, because they don't know what the color is supposed to be. The issue comes in when you have things that like people know what color it's supposed to be. When you're doing like licensed characters, if you're doing sports teams, even if you were to do something like an American flag, like the kind of red that should be. If you're doing someone's logo, then that's where that color part becomes an issue for many, many people, especially when we're doing all of these different sports ones and licensed characters, because they know the colors it should be. EcoTank printers, it's going to be off. Now, If you want to use an EcoTank printer because of the ease of it, 16600, 16650, because it's going to be less likely to clog because it sees that ink as the same density. It's the same quality of ink. So it's not going to detect that something is a little bit off, and it's going to print, and it's going to be less likely to clog. You have people who have spent money on an 8550, on a 1500, or 15,000, and they still get clogs. $700, $800 for a printer, and it becomes a $700, $800 paperweight. But everyone wants to do converted because it's the least expensive options. So I will never say get an EcoTank printer that's like the $200, $300. I don't even recommend the 1500 or the 8550. That's just me because of everything that I just kind of explained. And I think that EcoTanks are the biggest scam ever. And they sell you on there's no cartridge needed. You have 2 years of ink. But yeah, anywho, if that was the case, why does Epson still sell printers that use cartridges? So yeah, I have a whole other thing about that. So that now takes us to 16600, 16650. They are wide format printers, so you can use them. There is still that risk. Any EcoTank printer, because there are tubes. Any printer that has tubes, I run into those issues with my Roland BN20 because there are tubes that make the ink travel because of how it moves. So anytime there are lines, you are always at the risk of your ink backflowing, which is why your girl loves a good cartridge-based printer because you don't really have that. It travels with it. The ink cartridge moves, like the ink cartridges are on the print head and it's moving with it and it's not going in any tubes. That's why I love, 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 love cartridge-based printers. And they're easy to maintain if you have an issue. So someone says, I'm having horizontal lines and things of that nature. Unfortunately, love, there's nothing I can really do to help you. Nothing I can do to help you because there is no exact fix to anything when it comes to the EcoTanks. Some people will say, open it up, take it out, push the air through. That may clear the print head. But if the issue is in that cartridge and it's not coming out, or if it's in that line, that does not fix the issue for you. If you don't have the tool to where once you take it off and you pull the ink and you can stop it, when you can plug that up and when you put it back on, because the moment you take that cartridge out, you're going to see that ink and backflow back into the tank. So there's a certain way that you have to do those printers to make sure that the ink stays in the line and it does not backflow when you're doing maintenance on it. Most people are not equipped to do that. So it becomes an issue maintaining these printers. There's no way to push air because the tank is here. You have all that line. There's no way to like force air to push the ink all the way through and then go through the actual print head. No possible way. So you can do the ones, plenty of videos out there. They claim that it works, but there's also so many people, if you're doing the research, it may work for some, you know, they might get lucky. But for the majority of the people, when they go and they open that up, that ink goes back and freaks them out. They have no idea how to get that ink to flow back. Even once you put it down and it flows back, it's never coming through because now you've created an air gap. EcoTank printers for non-experienced, like people with printers, is not an easy fix. So if you were getting it for ease of use, as long as it's working perfectly, hey, it's all gravy. The moment that it's no longer working, you have a paperweight. You have a paperweight. So although it's less likely to back up because of it, I'm still not a big fan of EcoTanks. But you can get that printer. It is wide format. It has a high resolution. It has a pretty decent print speed. Still slower than using like a Sawgrass and things like that, but it has a pretty decent print speed. Now with sublimation, because of the pinwheel marks, and I really don't care which paper you use, eventually you're going to end up getting them. Slower technically is better in this case. So I don't really put a lot of emphasis on the print speed and how fast an Epson printer prints out compared to a Sawgrass. Now, there is a big difference between the more expensive printers and like the 2800s and stuff like that. Like the print speed is, I can print out 4 pages and that one is still printing. Like it's just crazy. So that part, like, you know, just with Epson printers, you can tell the difference. But I personally like a slower printer because with sublimation, it gives that ink time to dry before it hits your pinwheels, depending on the type of paper you're using. So I like the fact that it's slowed down a little bit because it allows you to use quality paper. The paper that's not so great, it works great with those because they're instant dry, but then you have to worry about taping. You have to worry about ghosting. You have to worry about butcher paper. You have to worry about lint brushing. You have to worry about all these different things. So for the quality paper, the slower printers actually are better than the ones that print out a little bit faster. So that's just that. So, like I said, I like workforce printers. The current workforce printers that you can buy, you can go into a store and purchase and not be price gouged are the 7820, 7840, and 7310. The issue, however, is how they manufacture these printers. You now have an additional row of pinwheels. You know, pinwheels are, you know, not great. Like having all of those pinwheels, and now it's like, it's right there. So you really don't have time to dry. Like it's an extra layer of pinwheels. That is horrible when it comes to sublimation papers and like quality sublimation papers, that extra row of pinwheels. The other thing is the cartridges cannot be reset. There is no continuous ink system with an auto reset chip. There is no chipless firmware. So when it comes to the new workforce printers, it becomes a little bit more expensive and it's a little bit more aggravating because the chips don't always work. Some people like the price point. They're willing to take the chance on it because they're getting a wide format printer for just $300. So if price is a factor for you, like being able to just get the printer and get started, it's going to be the best option price-wise to get a workforce printer. But on the back end, it's going to cost you more because you're going to have to change out those chips. If you use third-party chips, no, we do not have any in stock. Don't know when we'll have them. We're waiting for them to have one that's compatible with the current firmware. But if you find someone that does have them, yes, they're going to be less expensive to buy the chips. You don't have to keep changing out your cartridges. You keep refilling that cartridge, but it does not reset it. The chip is what controls the printer. So you're going to have to keep changing out that chip clip, right? So that's going to cost you more on the back end. Whereas with the old workforces, it was an auto reset, or you can invest in a $20 chip resetter, reset that and keep using it over and over and over and over and over and over again. So that's like the second issue with the new workforces is the chips situation. Okay. And then like the way they made it, it's not like the other one. So the colors can like, it's weird. Cause like to me on that one, my colors are a lot different from my 7820. But they're the least expensive and you do get a wide format option. Oh, the other issue is with the newer ones, you cannot do 13 by 19 from the front tray. It only does 11 by 17 from the front tray. You have to do 13 by 19 from the rear. So if your printer is not somewhere where the back is easily accessible, you're now limiting yourself to just using 11 by 17 paper. So like I have mine on a shelf and it is a pain in the ASS to get to the rear feed sometimes. So I don't like using those. And that printer is like kind of long, so trying to reach back there. So that becomes an issue with the newer printers is because they don't allow 13 by 19 from the trays anymore. All of them, it's from the rear feed. So that becomes an issue with that one. But if you're just looking to get started, you want a wide format, that is the least expensive option. So that might be best for you. You can still use the refillable cartridges, but if you don't want to deal with the hassle of them not reading, you would have to buy Epson cartridges, take the chips off. We have a video for that. And you're going to basically place them on that cartridge and put it in, and it's going to read every single time. And you would just periodically fill up the ink, and just be careful with filling up your ink. You don't have to take it out to fill it up. You want to, as soon as you do it, you want to take that door off. That way you can fill it up with ink anytime you want. Just take the fill plug out, fill it up with ink, close it back, and you just want to make sure that you're going slow because you're not able to physically see it. I don't recommend taking it in and out. You just want to push your ink slow so that you can get it in there and it doesn't overflow. So you can do that, but that does become a little bit more costly because those cartridges for XL, they are $36 per cartridge compared to when you're able to buy the chips. People sell them anywhere from 12 to 20 bucks or 18 bucks, somewhere in there. So I've seen some people sell them like as low as 12. And so it varies. So if you get an XL chip from Epson, like an XL cartridge, that is 34, 35 bucks plus tax. And you're just taking the chip off. So that ink is no good. You cannot sell that cartridge to someone because they need the chip in order to utilize the cartridge. The cartridge is the brain. I mean, the chip is the brain of it. So you're going to take that off. And the only thing that you would be able to do is get a little bit money back by recycling it with like Office Depot and stuff like that. So if you shop there a lot, and then for you to be able to get more cartridges and save on it, you're going to take those chips off and you're just going to take them to Office Depot because they have a recycling program and you get points and stuff like that. And you would take it back to them, recycle it, and that would eventually build up to go towards the purchase of additional cartridges. You can get the standard cartridges, which are 13 bucks. If you are using Honestly Speaking sublimation paper, it's going to last you a lot longer because with our paper, we use the plain paper bright white set to high. So you're going to get more prints out of that standard cartridge. If you are adamant or you're using a paper where you are using premium matte, that ink is going to go like that because that is using 4 times the amount of ink to do premium matte. But if you use Honestly Speaking sublimation paper and you are getting just the standard chips, they're going to last a little bit longer if you're doing sublimation. If you're doing regular printing, the EcoTank printer with the regular ink is going to be the better option for you. Okay. So those are like the EcoTank printers. It's about price. The 8550 is what, about damn near $900. That's like 800 bucks. The 16600 is 700, 600 or 700. 8550 because the prices have changed. Epson has just recently changed their prices. The 8550 is going to run you about 700-800 bucks. If that's outside your price range, that's not the best printer for you. Okay. If you are going to be doing sublimation where color is a factor, you're going to be working with a lot of companies and they have their logos. If you plan to, at your own risk, do a lot of like sports teams and characters, color is going to be an issue. None of these will really give you like the exact color. So that may be an issue for you. So none of them will be the best option for you. Now, those are all converted. That's everything on the converted printers. Let me see if I missed any questions. And I'm not sure if you're still here because there was a lot of information. Hopefully that somewhat has helped the person. I forget who asked the question. Hopefully that has somewhat helped you when it comes to the converted printers. What's a good sub printer? Okay, yeah. So that's where we're at. We're answering all of that right now, Danny. So just stick around, listen. That's everything I'm answering right now. I actually just went through all the options for converted printers. So as far as a good printer for conversion, 11 by 17, 13 by 19, the only one that you will ever hear the professor recommend. I don't care what everybody else says. In all the groups, they're going to tell you, oh, get a 15,000, get an 8550. I'm never going to say that. Can it be used? Yes. Is it good? My professional opinion, no. So the only ones that I would recommend as an EcoTank printer for wide format is the 16600, 16650. Only ones I'm going to recommend. The 70, if you need economical, 7820, 7840, 7310. However, that extra line or extra row of pinwheels is like a pain in the ass. So I don't really recommend those anymore. Sorry, I know in the beginning of a year and a half ago I said it, but no. And using it more, those things are aggravating. So the only one that I can recommend, 16600, 16650, which run you about $1,100 and $1,300. Okay. So now the true sublimation option, Sawgrass, I've been using it. It's too many color options. And in my testing before, I personally don't like how Sawgrass printers are for pictures. Can't stand it. Now, something like this, oh, baby, ew, there was something in here. Something like this, regular colors, Sawgrass all day, every day. Images, especially when you have hair, people, especially darker hair, absolutely hate it. When I use my Sawgrass and I was doing a mouse pad, I was doing some stuff like when my grandmother passed. It had my grandmother's skin tone looking green, and it was like all these different settings. I could not stand, like it's annoying to go through that many settings and trying to figure it out and then trying to remember which ones was for which. So as someone who is all about like settings, I dislike that about the Sawgrass. The vivid versus photogenic versus it prints out a different way if you do speed versus quality. Like it's just too much going on. Like I gotta choose between speed or quality. Like come on now. So I just it gives me a headache when I deal with all the settings. And I've been going through it and I have to stop. Like I gotta take a breather. Like I'm trying to put the work in and I'm constantly printing out different TikTok saw me when I did that. I did a lot of different prints on different settings to try and figure out like which one was going to be best. And I had to stop. And I have notes and notes trying to remember it all. Then it's like the types of paper, because you got like the ones that they've tested with True Picks or this brand and that brand, type A, type B. When you choose a different paper, it changes how it prints. Like the Epson printers, you put whatever damn paper you want in there and it's going to print. Like, why do I have to choose a specific type of paper? So if I'm not using the paper that you guys have tested, then what? And they don't help you. If you are not using one of the papers that they have tested with and that's on their list, they act like they really can do for you. So I don't like that part. I mean, if you are a sublimation printer, like, I mean, dude, figure out what's going to be the best option no matter what paper. Like, not everyone likes that paper. Not everyone has access to the papers that you guys have tested. So I don't like that part of it. But I do think that it is a great printer. The colors are amazing because it is a true sublimation printer. It is meant, for sublimation. But they're pricey. And if you want to do like with the, what is that, 1,000? It's limited to 11 by 17 in the tray. It can print 13 by 19, but if you want to do that, or you want to do a longer print, you now have to buy an additional attachment that's like $125, $150. So now it goes up even more if you want to do 13 by 19 if you're using the Sawgrass. People always say, oh, for 13 by 19, get a Sawgrass. But they always forget to tell you that you need the bypass tray to do 13 inches wide. The tray only fits 11 by 17 paper. So now you're adding more money. So if $1,000 is outside of your price range, then that's not going to be the best printer for you. That's why I said there's no such thing as best. It depends on you, spacing that you have, the amount of money that you want to spend, what's more important to you, quality, color, or speed. So you do have your Sawgrass options. Epson has now entered the game when it comes to desktop sublimation printers, because before Epson has been the premier company for Sublimation for a while, but it's like wide format, 36, 44, and larger. Like those are the printers that they had for Sublimation. As the craft community has blown up when it comes to Sublimation and people utilizing their printers, they find it's like, hey, we're going to do what we can. Legally, they cannot do a 13-inch wide Sublimation printer. Legally, they cannot. So they will do, that's what they came out with, the F170. It is a small format printer, $350 right now. Okay. Then they have the F570, which is the 24-inch printer, but you can put cut sheets and you can use 13 by 19, 11 by 17, stuff like that. But it is a 24-inch wide roll to roll printer. I would say roll to roll, but it's not roll to roll. It's a roll printer. That's going to cost you 25, 26, but you do get their cheap paper. You do get 2 sets of ink. You get lots of other stuff within like that price point that's supposed to make it worth that $2,500. But that it is a decent printer. Like it really is a good printer. You're not going to have all those clogs because it's meant to handle sublimation ink. People ask me all the time, can they use Honestly Speaking ink? Could you? Yes. Should you? No, because that is a true sublimation printer. We sold ink for printers that were being converted. We sell ink for converted printers. Those are printers where the ink is sublimation ink. Therefore, you want to use it. And it's like maybe a dollar or two difference in getting that bottle, which is 140 milliliters, and putting it in there. That's the only difference. So they're a little bit more expensive, $2,000. So that's like all the printers. Hopefully that helped. I love my Sawgrass 400. I have done some wonderful prints. Yeah, for some people, if you like, there are some people I've seen on TikTok, like all they do is like small format things. They do tumblers and like keychains and stuff like that. And they'll deal like with smaller shirts. Now, if you're somebody's like, oh my God, I'm tired of like piecing them together, for people ask me for large shirts. So you can either turn those down. It is okay to say, I don't make shirts past a large or whatever. If you don't want to keep piecing things together because you have a small format printer. Small format printers does not mean that you're not making money. We sold to a company that had 12 Sawgrass printers. They used to buy our rolls and they used on Sawgrass printers because they did like dog leashes and stuff. So they needed to be able to print like longer and stuff like that. They had 12 of them and they ran. It's a very successful business that's based out of California, and they do dog leashes and stuff like that. And they use a small format because that is all that they need for their business. It allows them to print out different patterns on these different printers versus having, for the cost of those, having 1 or 2 large formats. It just makes it a lot easier for them. They don't have to cut it down. They can print it on there, put their fabric on, and they can press that, compared to if they had larger format ones, then they have to print it. Then they got to cut it down and do all that stuff. So smaller format works better for them, even though they are a major company. So small formats can get the job done, depending on what your needs are. If your needs change, then you need to upgrade your printer to now accommodate your current needs. Let's see. That helps. Thank you. You're very welcome. That's why I did my homework, since I couldn't afford the 2,000. Okay, I answered Danny's. There were other questions. Hold on. All right, so I think that's everything there. And you can keep coming with your questions. All right, so over here, so I explained everything when it comes to EcoTank printers. Hello, looks orange. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Okay, let's see. Help me now. I have to buy another $1,000 printer. Yeah, most likely. So if you already started out the 7840 with the ink that came with it, can you then change it? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Even if you're leaving it as a pigmented ink printer, you can go to refillables. Again, the issue is going to be the chips. So if you started with the ink that's there and you're using it as a pigmented ink printer, there really is no benefit in using the refillables at this time, other than the black ink, There's no benefit to it, because if the third-party chips are not working, when you go buy that cartridge, you might as well put that actual cartridge in there. It is only beneficial if you are trying to convert that printer to Sublimation, or for some people, EcoSolvent, which I don't know why they're doing EcoSolvent with it, but if you do EcoSolvent with it. And none of those printers can be used for DTF except for the 8550. That's the only one, because it has the proper number of chambers, because you need 2 for white, and then you'll have your regular cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. So because it's a 6-channel, you can utilize, no, it's a, well, you need, well, they don't have 2 whites. They use the gray as white. So it's a 5-channel. You have, no, wait, let me see. You have cyan. No, you have 6. It's a 6-channel, because they'll use the black and the photo black for white, and then the gray becomes the black ink. So it's a 6-channel, and that's why they can use that one for DTF. But all the other ones you cannot use for DTF. The Sawgrass to me is a good investment if you are a business owner, because you make that money back within the first year. And I always buy my ink during Black Friday for 20% off, and the ink lasts. Yeah, so that's like, and it lasts, and so you can stock up when they go on sale. Black Friday, and then like what do people call them? They'll have them like once or twice like throughout the year, but yeah, whenever it's on sale is the best time to buy the ink. I mostly do photos on ornaments, plaques, keychains, mouse pads, shirts, etc. And I use Print Manager only with my Sawgrass. You have to go through the Print Manager to get good results. I printed through Silhouette directly, and I actually, for certain ones, when I did that gold, I actually preferred it through Silhouette versus through the Print Manager for certain things. What do you do with printer that has 6 colors? I'm not sure what you mean by that. I mean, meaning for sublimation, I'm not sure what you mean. Like as is, like when it comes that way, what do people use it for? Not quite sure what you're asking exactly. I'm holding out for you to get the 812 chips. We may never, like if they send us, and if they don't work with it, I do the test. They send it to me. I put it in the printer, see if it works. Then I go and I update the firmware. If it doesn't work, I go and I revert back. So I cannot say, like, it's a headache. Like it really is. I didn't think that it would take this long. I thought that it would eventually have a reset option, the same way that it did when it came to the 7720, like in all of those. When they first came out, they were single-use chips. Eventually, they were able to make auto reset chips, a chipless firmware, and a continuous ink system. With the way Epson programmed the new workforce printers, those options are not going to happen. So we may not, like, I don't plan to, like, we have some cartridges left, and some people have done that to where because they really, really need it, they purchase the cartridges and just take the chips off of them and just leave the cartridges. Like they've used, like, so I know that I have a few people, and when they've had to purchase the other cartridges, they use them as cleaning cartridges, like to be able to push air and push the fluids through. But of course, you can't use them to print at all. So they would just put the old chips on them and black them out, and that way they know they can just use that one to kind of push air, but they never will work again, because we don't plan to have the chips. And if we get to a point, so even if we order cartridges, they're going to have those same chips. So we're trying to sell the ones that we have now. We don't know. Like once they're gone, we may not ever restock the 812s. So we don't have chips for the 7610. We do have cartridges. So we don't sell chips for those, like just chips by themselves. We sell the whole cartridges. That's the 252s. We sell them pre-filled and we sell them empty. So that's the 252s. If I buy a wide format sublimation printer, do I still need to buy a wide format printer for my everyday printing? Yeah, because they're totally different. Totally different types of prints. It's not interchangeable. So for sublimation, there's really no real like major use for it. When it's a true sublimation printer, it can, like when they have those different colors, so you'll have like well, really in sublimation they don't really have that. Well, they're like the big ones, they'll have different colors. It just increases the color gamut, meaning the ranges of colors that it can actually accomplish when you have those different colors. So if there's one that has like an orange in it, but that's not like a regular printer, but if it does have like an orange and things like that, it makes those type of colors better because it's getting the majority of the color from that particular channel versus a composite where you're mixing magenta and yellow to get an orangish color. It's coming from that. When it comes to like the Artisan, that was really meant to be a regular printer where you have the light cyan, light magenta. They don't even sell that print anymore. It does somewhat increase the color gamut, but with the way that sublimation ink is made, I'll tell you, there's not a lot of difference between the light cyan and regular cyan, light magenta and the regular magenta. There's not a big difference in it. It does not change your colors drastically, but in a regular print setting, like if it was a regular printer, it does change the printers a little bit more. When it comes to the 8550, there is no such thing as a photo black sublimation. It's just black ink. As a regular printer, that photo black is pigmented ink, where the regular black and all the other colors are dye-based. So as a regular printer, that photo black makes a difference. In sublimation, it doesn't really make a difference. And a lot of people end up seeing that one tank ends up going down more than the other, which is your photo black one, because it's more so pulling from that. It's not really like mixing the two. So for a lot of people that have an 8550, their photo black goes down before their regular black. Is like it's not moving. And they end up having to refill the photo black. And then gray don't have no bearing when it comes to sublimation. It does not improve your colors at all. It is for black and whites. But depending, it's supposed to be for black and whites. But because you like, if you're using the grayscale setting, even as a regular printer, if you're just printing and you're choosing black and like if your image is black and white, it will still mix other colors in, which is why when you have something that has like shadows or it's black and white, especially if you're using an EcoTank printer, it comes out really purplish and all like those different types of colors because magenta is very aggressive in sublimation and it's picking up a lot of those magentas. The only way to make it where you're going to get a truer like grayish or black and white is to go to grayscale. And so if I was doing it from like my workforce or a pigmented ink printer, it comes out better. And also with our ink, because we don't have that brownish, rusty, like full-on brown type ink, ours is a little bit darker. When you have that type of ink, even though you go grayscale, it can still come out looking either purplish or brown, depending on, because again, that's a dye-based printer. So it does it in sublimation, it's no real benefit. I've seen the option to make the 7710 a chipless printer. Have you seen these videos and would you recommend it since the chip resetters are so hard to get now? So it's not a bit hard to get right now. We just we plan to order them, but we have that's a low ticket item for us. So we don't really make a lot of profit off of that. But we would have to increase the amount of it. And so when we sell it and it just helps for our bottom line, we have to take care of business stuff. We were selling more of those and like other things, but it doesn't really make us any money. So right now the budget for that one is not there, but we do plan. We did make an order to it. We'll have some hopefully by the end of the year, but like during that other time, like it was not a priority for us to order them. So we will have them. And I'm going to tell you now, the price is going to be a little bit different because everything has gone up. So we will have them by the end of the year, just not right now. So they're not like really hard to come by. We are like one of the only companies that's really still selling them because Most companies, they only sell them, like they sell with like what's the popular printer. And because that's not the one that's being manufactured, they kind of like, oh, no one's thinking about that. Like, I'm not going to keep carrying stuff because there's no guarantee that people are going to come and buy it. And I don't want to be stuck with all of this inventory. People still come to us looking for the chip resetter because they break. Like, there's someone here, I swear he orders one like every quarter because he's always breaking the pens. He'll drop it, he'll step on it. So we keep them. We want to keep them in stock, but for a while there, it just wasn't in the budget because it's a low ticket item and we really don't make a lot of profit off of them. It was really me having them for everyone to be able to reset them. So we will have them. As far as the chipless option, it's not like an easy thing. It's a computer program and you have to go and do the firmware. You have to do certain things to it. I've never done it. I've seen the videos. I can't say I recommend it or not. I would never do it. But you know, if you want to follow those videos, you definitely can go ahead and try to do the chipless route. The other thing with the chipless route is most people who have chipless firmwares, they forget to check their ink levels because it's going to always show full, but your actual physical cartridge is not going to be full. So because they're not seeing that level drop, they're not remembering to check their cartridges. And then all the ink ends up running out. Now they have to go through the maintenance of push air and do all these additional things. They have to reprime the cartridge. So if you're not going to make sure, like, and you have this thing to where like every week I'm going to add a little bit of ink, having the chipless firmware, if you're just going and going and going and you're just printing out a bunch of stuff, can be an issue with remembering to refill them. So that's one of the other reasons why I don't recommend the chipless firmware. I like seeing the level go down because it makes me conscious that I need to actually refill this ink. And for me, whenever it gets to halfway, I take them all out, I top them all off, I reset them all, I put them back. I want a 24-inch or higher printer, but I want to use your ink. So would it be the 15,000? I don't ever recommend a 15,000, or 15,500. Know what that is. If you mean a 16,600, that's not a 24-inch printer. So I have no idea what a 15,500 is. Don't know what that is. Did you mean 16,600 or 16? Let me see. Epson 15,500. Don't know what that is. Yeah, have no idea what that is. Never heard of that one. Wrong printer. Okay. I was like, wait, huh? Never heard of that one. All right. So if you wanted to use HS Ink Sublimation, it's still a conversion. It's still an expensive printer. That printer is the Sure Color T3170X. T3170X. It's going to look just like the F570. Looks exactly like it, except it just doesn't have the blue outline around the cartridge like the ink tanks. That is a regular pigmented ink printer. So the ink that comes in is going to be pigmented ink. You're going to need to convert that printer. So with that particular printer, you could use, honestly speaking, ink. That printer is only like $100, $200 cheaper than the F570. So you could use the T3170X, but you might as well wait, save up $200 and get the F570. So that is the only 24-inch printer where I would recommend that you would use, honestly speaking, ink, because the ink that comes in that printer is not sublimation. Our ink is for converted printers. Let's see. Okay, I read that one. Okay, no, I read that one. I guess I'll get a sawgrass now. If you want to do 13, don't forget the bypass tray. Don't forget the bypass tray. We don't, it's going to be 812. I mean, yeah, 812, but we don't sell them anymore. Well, as of right now, we're not restocking them. And then, so that's another thing too, right? The 7310 is the least expensive one, but when it comes to the manufacturers, they can't get those printers in China. So they never technically are able to test that particular printer. I have no idea how to roll back the firmware on that printer because the instructions are not as easy. Now, we have instructions to roll back the firmware on the 7820 and the 7840. So if you get the 7310, we are of no support to you. I could not support you in any way, shape, or form with getting, whether you buy it from us or not, getting the chips to work, rolling back the firmware, and that because they don't have those printers in China, they cannot test anything with that particular firmware because they use a different firmware because it does not have a scanner. It doesn't have the touch screen, like the full display touch screen. So its firmware is always different than the 7820 and the 7840. We can't help you with that one at all. We are of no support for the 7310 printer. All right, making sure I have not missed anything. Okay, so, wait, shoot, my bad. And on this platform, guys, if we could not mention any other brands, especially that one, I'll just read it. I'm using your paper and a different brand of ink. I'm using your print settings from your 7210 video. I cannot get a print free of horizontal lines. I have a perfect nozzle check. I don't know what's, okay, wait. So let's go back. If you have a perfect nozzle check and you have horizontal lines, I need to see a picture. Are you referring, so are they like deep lines where it's like really thick before you see a line, or is it like I don't know how to say it, like is it like really thin lines? And are you, what are you pressing? Are you pressing shirts or are you pressing tumblers? Because most times on shirts, you don't even really see it. Now on tumblers, you may end up seeing that, but we have to remember with the 15,000, their resolution is not high. Like it's not this super high. So like when I'm using it on my 7720, because the resolution is higher, the ink, it goes together closer. Whereas with the 15,000, it's a lower resolution. So that may not be an issue and there's no fix. So it seems like there's not an issue with your 15,000. It's just that if you're using our paper may not be ideal for you because you're not going to be able to use premium matte. So if you use premium matte, it'll probably not give you as many lines in between it because it's going to put down a lot of ink and fill in those gaps. But on plain paper, bright white, set to high, the highest possible quality, you may get them because of the actual resolution output of that particular printer. So for you, it might be, as much as you love us and we appreciate it, you may not be able to use Honestly Speaking Sublimation paper if you're doing a lot of hard substrates. On shirts, I can guarantee you'll never see it. As long as it's the regular thin lines, those aren't true banding lines. But if you're doing a lot of hard substrates, our paper would not work. So you may want to use our paper for anything that's fabric or mugs, because you don't see it on mugs. But for tumblers, it shows up. For the 7310, is it the same for, yes, it's the same for pigment ink, correct. 3170X, Sure Color T 3170X, but it's only $200 less than the F570. I want to use my 7610 to keep, I want to use my 7610, but I keep running into hiccups in learning. I wanted to use second party cartridges to get it revived. I can hear that the ink is full and brought a resetter to be able to I don't know what the rest is. It won't take the pretty pre-filled. Wait, it won't take the pre-filled cartridge. I need to fill it even more. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Is it that, okay, so are you saying that when you fill it up, the level on there doesn't change? Is that what you're saying? Where you're saying it won't take it? Do you need to add more ink? Is it that you're looking for that ink level to change? A bit confused. If I have the F170, can I not use? It's not, I mean, why would you want to use a third party ink? I mean, it is Sublimation ink. Don't get me wrong. If you want to use it, you can. But our ink is not, no third party ink will ever, ever, ever be made to completely match the color profile and the firmware profile of any printer. So although it is similar in color, your colors can be compromised using a third-party ink. The ink that comes in that box is Sublimation ink. That ink, our ink is what, $15.63 per bottle, which is probably going to go up a little bit, but I like to, so my issue with going up in prices is I'm all about branding. I like to keep it with like $365 or can have 30 in it. Epson's ink used to be, I think, $18. It may have gone up to like 20. So yeah, you're paying $5 more for it, but it is made for that printer. Your colors should be more accurate with that particular ink. Now, some people say that their colors are still off. They're using the Epson ink and their colors are still off. They got to figure out the right profile, the da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I am not saying that you cannot use our ink, but do know that it is totally different. So when you go and you still have some of that Epson ink in there and you put our ink on top, it's going to be different. Epson's black ink has a blue undertone. Our ink doesn't have, like, it's a more of a purplish undertone on the when it's our right signature ink. So it's not quite the same. So that can be an issue. So I'm not saying that you can't. It is still sublimation ink. It is still going to sublimate, but you may compromise your color output. Sawgrass would be the only 13x19 option, basically. So yeah, as far as a true sublimation printer, Sawgrass is the only true 13x19 option with the bypass tray. Don't forget that part. So you can get the 1000 if you have someone that's selling an old 800. They are not out of the box. They are not going to print 13x19. You have to get the additional bypass tray. They are the only and will be the only true 13-inch wide sublimation printer. The ink that comes with the ink that comes with EcoTank printers is this dye-based ink. The only ones that have pigmented is 16600, 16650. Everything else is dye ink. No, that is incorrect. That is incorrect. Hey. I'm scared of using the 8550 because of the eco tanks. So if you're using it for sublimation, yes, it can become a $900 paperweight or $800 paperweight. If using it as a regular printer, they tend to last a whole lot longer. I am using non-Epson 252 cartridges, and it's pretty full, but somehow the firmware caught it and rejected it. Can I use my resetter in this case? Okay, so when you say rejected it, here's the thing. Some people always think it's rejecting it, but it's not. It is going to tell you that it is not genuine Epson ink. That's no issue. When you see that warning, you just hit proceed or you hit okay. It's going to come up on, like, once you go and you reset it, it's going to show there. The next time you go to print, it's going to show on your screen, and it's going to say not genuine ink. Do you want to continue to use it? You're just going to hit continue or yes or okay, whatever it says. So that's different. It is accepting it. If when you put them in there, if it's showing an exclamation mark, that is what you want. You do not want it to be a red X. If it is a red X, it is rejecting that particular chip. A resetter might reset it. Sometimes just putting in a different cartridge and then you can go back to that one and then it will work. So that's why I always recommend to have more than one set of cartridges. It's best to always have 2 sets. We now have 3 sets, but it's best to keep it to where you have one that's already reset, refilled. So if you get like low on one, ink cartridge replacement, put that whole set in, close it, boom, you're back up running and printing. That other set, you can reset it, refill it, put it off to the side and have it there ready to go. And then once one color is halfway full, take them all out, put in the new set. Then that other set, while you watching TV, refill them or in your space, whatever, doesn't matter when you do it, refill them, reset them, put them to the side. And you're just going to keep rotating those 2 or 3. So an exclamation is good. It recognizes that it is compatible, but it is not a genuine one, which is what it's supposed to do. But you can still use it. The levels will not change. Just because you put ink in it, it will never change the levels. It has to either go all the way down first, or you have to use a chip resetter. Can I use that ink for my Epson so I can submit? Yes, you can put our ink, our Sublimation ink. You can buy our Sublimation ink. It is keyed for an eco tank. So you would just poke a hole. Well, take this off. Take off the little, what's this? Foil. Put this back on. Make sure you're on the right ink. Put it on there. Let it fill up. It will still stop. Take this off. Put your top back on it. And you're good to go. You can definitely use it. Do I recommend it? I personally don't recommend eco tank printers. But if you already have it, yes, you can use our ink. But it's like if someone's going out and buying one, it's never going to be, oh yeah, go out and buy a 2800. But if you already have it, yes, you can. So how can you get it? I'm going to make it really easy for you. And I'm going to add our products to this. Just so that you can click on it. You can always come back to our TikTok shop, our TikTok page. And on our homepage, you will see the shop. So if you're not ready to purchase right now, just come back. Make sure that you're following us. Come back to our page at any time. As soon as you click on it, because we have TikTok shop, all our TikTok shop stuff comes up before our regular videos. That's how TikTok has it set up. But right now, you can go click on the shopping cart. You can put it in your cart now if you want to. I just pinned the ink, so that's going to make it the easiest way to get for you. Just ordered it yesterday. Oh, the printer. So yeah, just go ahead, go to the shop, and you're going to click on that, and you're going to order it. It will get shipped out tomorrow. All orders before 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time get shipped out the exact same day. So now it's 5 o'clock. Your order will get shipped out tomorrow. You are very welcome. All right. I might as well stay on. I got like today. I'm not going to go get my baby at 6. I'm going to get him at 5:30, 5:40, somewhere in there. So any questions that you guys have for me, go ahead, drop those questions. Hopefully this was helpful education for you guys about the printers. I made a post the other day where I was like, the game is different when it comes to converting. Now brother has a printer that's now entered the ring. It's pretty slow from what I've seen. It's a pretty slow printing printer, the brother one, but they're now there. Some people are holding out thinking that brother. No one will ever be able to have a 13 desktop option outside of Sawgrass. You can use our paper with any printer. The settings are going to be different. We don't have an F170. We don't have an F570. So I cannot give you exact settings to use. There are people in the group that have that kind of figured out. You can just pose that question in the group and maybe someone can help you out. Or you can do like I do. Use the same exact image, test out every single setting that there is. Like have a day of testing and figure out which setting is going to be best. That's what I did when I kind of came up with that recommended setting for the desktop printers. So that's the only thing that we can do. I cannot give you exact settings because I don't have that software. I don't have those options. We don't have those printers. I don't have a need for those printers. Before I would buy, that's how I got a Sawgrass, buying printers that I know I don't need. Right now, it's just not, it's not, you know, doesn't make good business sense for me to have this printer because it's an EcoTank printer. I know that it's not going to be used. Sawgrass has a regular maintenance cycle, so it makes it a little bit easier. With that particular one, because it's not, it doesn't have a maintenance cycle, me trying to keep up with an EcoTank printer, baby, hell's no. Can't do it. Give me a second. I can't answer that while I have TikTok Shop on, so give me a second, okay? I just realized your name says don't be nosy. Give me a second, don't be nosy. I can't answer that while I have TikTok Shop on. Okay. When you say that it's not recognizing it, I'm asking the question, does it show an X or a yellow exclamation mark? It doesn't matter. Like the printer does not know how much ink is in it. You can take an empty cartridge and put it inside of a printer, and that level will show full because the chip is what controls it. So if it's showing an X, that chip may be bad. Your best course of action is going to be to go where we sell things, because I'm on TikTok Shop, so I can't say it. But what I mentioned earlier, go there and you're going to get a new set of cartridges. And that one. So sometimes, even if you have the chip resetter, it won't really reset. It's like, it's just kind of weird. Like it's the printer itself is just rejecting it. But if you put a new cartridge in there and then put that one back in, like the next time around, it normally will read it. And sometimes it's just the chip. Those chips do go bad. Like they go bad. Just like with anything inside of a car, inside of a TV, they go bad. So it may have just fried. And so you just need a new cartridge. So that's all you can do is try a new cartridge. And we have them where we sell items at. All right. So for you, I'm going to do it like this because, again, I'm on TikTok Shop. So I cannot technically sign. They get kind of funky with that. So you're going to go here. And this is sold out. But you can see, this is the empty. This is the pre-filled. So you would click on the one for Sublimation ink if you want it to be pre-filled, and also try out our ink and see if there's a difference for you. If you don't want to get it that way, you can get the empty ones. Yes. If you have a regular one. Now, if you had the regular one, like the initializing one, but you never used it, it's not going to work for you. But if you do have a regular cartridge that is not initializing, you can put that in there and it will also reset the printer. It won't reset that chip, but it will basically like kind of change it up, and then it may end up like accepting that particular chip. But if you do that and you reset it and it doesn't, then that chip is fried. Thank you so much for that. You are very welcome. In order to push ink through, I need to order refillable cartridges, then put my original pigment inks back in. Yes, correct. Correct. If you want to actually push ink through, you will need to do that. Now you can push cleaning solution through, but then when it comes to getting the ink back going, you're going to have to do a whole lot of printing. So you can technically clear clog by just getting the cleaning solution and pushing that through, because it's going to be a syringe and like a little tube, but it only comes with one tube. So you would have to start with yellow, clean it out, then go magenta, and then, but then you go to the black, you got to really clean it out in case you want to use it again. When you are using cartridges, each one has its own, so it's a little bit cleaner doing it that way compared to the tube, because it only gives you one tube. It doesn't give you four. What did you miss? You missed a whole lot. Over on TikTok, we did a whole design situation. Once I was done with the design, showing them the difference of like Canva and Silhouette, someone started asking questions in the general Q&A. Someone asked about printers and what's the best printer. So now we've done an hour and 20 minutes of talking about printers and the best print options, the best printer, well, all the options for you to determine what is going to be the best printer for you. So you missed a lot. On TikTok, I've probably been on here for about 3 hours. Yeah, or 2.5 hours, somewhere in there. Because we had a whole design session earlier. All right, we got 10 minutes. 10 minutes left, and then I got to go pick up the little one. Last call for questions. Make sure that you guys do check out the TikTok shop to get your Honestly Speaking Sublimation ink. I don't have one over here. As well as your Honestly Speaking Sublimation paper. My tumblers, pretty much for everything that I sublimate, I use plain paper bright white, like this. This is plain paper bright white. Look at that. Like, that's amazing. The blacks are blackened. So I use plain paper bright white. I don't have to use premium matte. This is something that has pretty dark colors. This was this. Okay. So we have amazing results. I don't really say ink release because, to be honest, people say that just to kind of promote their paper, to make it seem like it's like this greatest thing, whatever. Which I'm not, actually, you know what? I'm not going to say that. It's how it releases, because there's actually someone on TikTok that did a comparison, not with mine, although I found out about that one because someone tagged us and said they use our paper and you should really, it was telling them they should really try it. But they compared the sublimation paper that has sub in the name, and then the HTV company that wanted to jump into the sublimation game. So you should know which companies I'm talking about. And they compared them, and the colors are different, even though both released the ink. When she showed it, both had the same amount of ink release. So when people are getting so all up in the, like, this whole thing of ink release and how much ink is on the paper, it's really not that deep. But how it releases and how much soaked in, because if you look at it, especially when she turned around to the back, you can really see the color difference. Like in that, it's like the yellowish leather. It was like a Coach tumbler. And you can see the difference in that yellow from the HTV company that jumped into sublimation versus the company that has sub in their name. You can see the difference. But on that paper, the release looked the same. So it's not so much about what it looks like, it's the quality of the release. And we have an amazing quality. You're going to get full saturation. Your images are going to be crisp because it does not blur out like that company with the sub in their name. If you look at their paper, once you sublimate it, it has some blurriness to it. Whereas with our paper, it looks just as it did when it was printed. It still stays nice and crisp. So you end up with really clean lines, especially if it's a high resolution paper. So our paper is really, really great for high resolution images. Thank you. Awesome live again. Thank you. You the bestest in my grandchild's voice. Thank you. Hey, Joan. All right, 5 minutes. Last call for questions. I'm going to shut down my window. Oh, look. So here is an example. Now, if it's something that has a lot of black, like a big area of black, I like to use premium matte with my density dropped really, really low because it just gets a stronger black. Here's the difference. Same exact file, different print settings. The colors are different. This is the premium matte one, and you can see that purple. This is the plain paper version, and you can see that purple. This is a brighter purple on this one, but it doesn't mean that it's the right purple. Just because this is darker doesn't mean that it's wrong. Not everything is going to be super bright colors like this. You want your darker colors to still look great. The way the file was designed, this is truer to color than this one. This added too much magenta on premium matte. Magenta takes over so bad. So this has more magenta in it, where this has a good mix of cyan and magenta. But the blacks, as you guys can see, are different. And the lighting is also making it look more purple, but it looks black in person. So you can see the difference in the saturation of premium matte, plain paper setting. But if you look at her image, the crispness of it and how it transferred is basically the same. Of course, it's going to look a little bit different because one has more magenta than the other, but they're still great. I am more of a plain paper kind of gal. I like the richness of the color in this one. To me, this looks pale. She looks pale in this one. This one to me has more color in her face. The premium matte one to me, she looks pale. The plain paper, to me, she has more color in her face. So this is a representation of using premium matte versus plain paper. Now, for any area that is black, it sucks because I like the colors on this one, but because it's so much black, and that's the thing I hate, like it just doesn't, it's like, ugh. So this, but we have, like, if I do, not that one. Okay, I guess this one too. I don't know if this has any like solid blacks. These are all like mixed colors, like grayishes and stuff like that. Like this one isn't like a true black, so it still looks great. Let's see. So, okay, like this one, this has black outlines and it's still a really strong black because it has other colors mixed around it. So it's a composite of colors, and that black still looks really, really good. So something like this plain paper setting is perfect, right? You still get the rich blacks. This is another one. Those lines are still very much so black. Same thing with this. Her black hair is black. But if it's a big, big area of black, like something like this, I end up having to use premium matte with my density dropped. And that's only on tumblers, because on mugs, I can use plain paper and it's still a black. This is plain paper setting. It's just on tumblers. If it's a lot of black, I end up using premium matte and I sacrifice all the other colors. But on everything else, I just use plain paper setting and the blacks be blackened. Okay. Have you did the 40-ounce tumbler with the handle live? No, because if I were to, I'm gonna be honest with you. If I were to do the 40-ounce tumbler, I'm not doing a full wrap because it's all of these angles, and then people always are like, well, I want the whole thing to be covered. To do that part where it comes down, you're not going to be able to make your design where it's seamless, because you would have to know exactly where to cut that at in that section to make it curved to fit on there. So like breaking it up to where it's seamless is not going to work. You can make it to where it's the long part and you put it around, and then you have to cut all of these little strips and then put it down, and then you'll put the bottom section on. I'm going to be honest. The amount like that requires that much work. Like it requires it. There's no other way to do it. And for someone just kind of looking at it and they're purchasing it, they're not going to appreciate how much work it actually takes to do that. So for me, I'm not charging, it's not always just a bigger one. And the blank costs more, I'm going to charge more for it. No, it's a lot of work to try and get a full coverage, and it's never going to be a smooth, seamless coverage because you have to cut those lines and everything is now going to cross over. So depending on the design, it can kind of camouflage itself, but it'll never be seamless. So if I'm ever doing a 40-ounce, I would never, ever, ever do that as a full coverage. It would be something like a name, a logo, something where it's like just like on one side, maybe put a pattern or something to the bottom, or maybe have it fade up, but I would never try and do the full thing of it. So I just don't bother with it and doing those. So nope, it's just team too much trying to do that. One more question. Do you recommend any printer for eco solvents other than the Roland? No, I do not. That's the least expensive one. All those whole conversion options. Some people use the workforce printers, but to me, especially like something like that, it comes out pale. The colors are way different because of the type of ink. Eco solvent ink looks more like dye ink. It's dark. Those printers are made to use a brighter ink, so your colors come out looking weird. So the only thing that you could use would be dye-based printers. There aren't too many, like there's no wide format dye-based printer for Epson. So you have the Eco Tanks. Remember, I can't stand Eco Tank printers. So I don't really have a recommendation for it. I'm going to always say, and then for me, I don't do Eco Solvent for HTV. I think that's pointless. Like there's so many other options to do designs on colored shirts outside of Eco Solvent. And I don't really like the way that it feels. Like I don't prefer it. So it's a personal preference for me. I did not purchase mine to do anything with HTV because it gives you kind of, it's not the same, but it's kind of the same like Jet Pro 3G, or if I did sublimation to glitter, it's still like this whole like little thing, whatever. Have I used it once or twice? Yes, but it's not my preferred method. I use it like if I have to, if I really don't have time to order DTF prints, but like something like this, I would never, ever, ever do an Eco Solvent. I would never do Eco Solvent in something like this because this would just be one big piece of vinyl and it's still going to feel heavy. So I didn't really buy mine for that. I got mine to be able to do things like labels, or if you ever purchase from us, the label that's on our, I have an order. TikTok saw me do the design where I set it up for a decal for cups. I wanted mine for adhesive vinyl. We do a lot of yard signs. I do a lot of cutouts for parties and stuff like that. I don't know if I have one in here. I do. Oh, no, that's not one. I thought that was it. But like I have like my fans, my yard signs, my large cutouts. Posters like this one. So this is a memorial one. And you cannot do this with a converted eco-solvent printer. So because of how I use it and how I basically teach it, you never are going to really see me do a lot of shirts with my rolling printer. So because all I'm ever doing really is doing things with adhesive, you're never going to see me really recommend anything else because you cannot. Using vinyl sticker paper is not real vinyl. So yeah. Yes. So we've kind of cleared everything up and we are doing in person. We're gonna set it up for in-person classes very, 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 very soon. We've always had a place, but it's just that other things were kind of going on, so we couldn't really do it. But yes, it's gonna be on the website really, really soon. So this particular one is silver. This one is white. Or should I do this one? Because it's kind of the same. This one is white. This one is silver. So your go-to for wide format printing would be for what? Sublimation? Or like I do all types. I do sublimation printing, eco-solvent printing, regular like pigment ink printing. So which one are you referring to? So to offer color options, do you recommend DTF or screen print? Both. They serve two totally different purposes. Two totally different purposes. So for wide format, if I had to recommend something today, it would be the ET 16600 that retails for $1,000. I'm sorry, $1,100, or the 16650 that retails for $1,300. Or an F570, which is 2,500, 600 and some change. Those are going to be my recommendations for wide format. 16 ET 16600, which is a printer that you would convert. 16650, a printer that you would convert. Or an F570, which is a true sublimation 24-inch printer. All right, TikTok shop should be off. So TikTok, don't ding me. Yeah, I've had talks of discussions about that. We have the t-shirt business roadmap. I go into detail about the different options, and we have another one coming up. At first I was gonna kind of like not do, but so many people have asked about another one of those to be able to attend live, just going over the different methods for shirts. So I do have one planned for December, where you'll be able to come in. I'm going to break down all of the methods. You'll be able to ask questions. I'll have examples of different things. So we do have the old one, but we do have a new one coming up. But they serve two totally different purposes. Two different purposes. All right. So it is 5:45. That is my cue to get up out of here. So thank you guys so very much for joining me today. Hopefully, for those of you who are on TikTok and you were able to see the design portion of it, it blessed your soul. For everyone else who just kind of got the print part of it on both platforms or all three platforms, hopefully this was helpful for you guys. Be sure to share it out. Yes, it's an hour and 38 minutes for you guys over here, but it's full of information. Which, like I said, we've done this video again, but this is one where it's probably easier to find it and recommend it to someone. Share it out. Come back, give us a comment, give us a thumbs up. The live comments are great, but once this ends, if you guys can go into the regular comment section and say thank you, Professor, for this, that definitely helps the channel, helps the platform. Don't forget to visit our website, shop.hsink365.com. That is where you're going to find our flagship class, the 30-day training. I think we had 2 people enrolled today. Thank you guys for enrolling. Almost fell. Our products are there. All products before 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time get shipped out the exact same day, Monday through Friday. After 3 p.m., it goes out the next day. After 3 p.m. on Friday, it goes out on Monday. Until next time, guys, have a great one. Continue to unlock your creativity, be incredible, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notification bell so that you're notified whenever I go live or release new content. Peace.